Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So this Max Kellerman, Rich Paul podcast is turning into something else that I didn't expect it to be, right? I thought it was going to be, Max up there twerking it up for Rich Paul, just blowing hot hair up, you know what? Pretty much what Steve Nash has been doing on Mind the Game, right? Or Game to Mind is, I think, Ticket TV said. But Game to Mind. But anyway, I thought it was going to be that. But to my surprise, Max Kellerman has really been giving it, like, he's been pushing back on some of these topics. Like, he's been pushing back. Now, you guys know that Rich Paul obviously is LeBron's agent. LeBron, is his biggest client. And he's always there to support LeBron, as he should, right? He's his client and his friend, so that's what he should do. Excuse me. So, in any case, he's going to defend him. And Rich is amongst the people that feels like LeBron James is the GOAT. But if you've listened to Max Kellerman over the years, you will know that he's always been a Jordan guy. Now, Max has had some pretty wacky comments as well, like Kawhi Leonard is more clutch than Kobe Bryant. Like, he said some stuff, Tom Brady's going to fall off a cliff. Remember that. But through and through, he's been a Jordan guy, right? He's always said Jordan is the greatest player. So during one of their latest episodes, they were discussing, what were they discussing? Yeah, they were talking about the NBA Cup. And apparently, Rich Paul was in Vegas to attend the Cup, and from what I remember, Max Kellerman, I think, watched bits and pieces of the game, or he didn't watch the full game, something like that. But anyway, they were talking about the NBA Cup, and they were talking about Wemby. And then somehow, some way, the conversation shifted to, like, Wemby's ceiling, and then it got to Michael Jordan, and it got to LeBron James. And then as they're talking about this, Max Kellerman tells Rich Paul to his face that Michael Jordan is better than LeBron, and he's on a totally different level. And I'm like, whew. So this is really happening, huh? Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to play what Max Kellerman had to say to Rich Paul here on the show, and we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to these guys here.
But his impact on the game, even in that condition, when you're like, that's not good, Wemby, is so ridiculous that every now and then a guy comes along. You and I debate MJ, LeBron. MJ to me, number one. And by the way, I think decisively number one, and I think LeBron is decisively number two. However, and obviously you feel differently. However, every now and then a guy comes along and you go, can he replace LeBron one day, for example?
Replace him where?
Replace MJ one day, for example, LeBron. LeBron came along, you're like, can he, like, every now and then you put your eyes on a guy and you go, maybe that dude is the one who can displace Michael Jordan at the very top. And I haven't seen that happen yet. I think LeBron's come closest.
See, but here's my question.
But what I'm saying is Wemby is the new guy who I look at and I go, I just wonder, can he be known as the best player ever one day if he stays healthy? Because his impact on the court is ridiculous.
But see,
he was not having a great game, and and they beat the Thunder.
Yes, but let me ask you a question. When I was a kid, right, and I had a ton of trophies. I was a pretty decent Muni League sports player. And I would get my trophies, and I would put them up, and I would get another trophy, put it up there. I never took a trophy down. So when you talk about replace, it's like, no, Michael Jordan's up there. If someone else comes along and they go on the same shelf as Michael Jordan, which is, i.e., LeBron, you put him up there. Kobe goes up on the shelf with Michael Jordan. I now think Steph Curry goes up on the shelf with those guys.
If you think Steph Curry is on the same shelf with Michael Jordan,
I think Steph.
Are you?
Here's what I think. I didn't say Steph Curry was as good as Michael Jordan. I'm saying
they're not on the same shelf.
For what? If there's different trophies, man. It don't have to be a 7 foot. If Michael Jordan's trophy is 7 foot tall and Steph Curry's trophy is 5 feet tall, and they're on the same shelf, what does that mean?
So what I'm saying is, if Michael Jordan's trophy is 7 feet tall, and to me LeBron's trophy is 6'11", but when I looked at LeBron, I thought, is that going to be a 7'1" trophy? I look, and I wound up 6'11", pretty close.
Okay, let me give you a different
I'm
analogy.
saying I look at Wemby thinking, does he wind up with the tallest trophy ever?
So you heard the exchange there. What are my thoughts about this? Look, guys, Max Kellerman isn't breaking any news. The only thing that's newsworthy about what he said is the fact is who he said it to. Like, that's the only part about this. Is like, man, that's great. Like, that's the only part. Max Kellerman isn't saying something that most NBA fans know. Now, he did go off into some kind of weird thing when they were talking about shells and trophies, and Michael Jordan's trophy is like 7 feet and LeBron's trophy is 7. Bro, what, Max, you know I've been a huge supporter of yours throughout the years. Marcellus Wiley knows. What you talking about trophies, man? What trophies and shells and all? No, it's not close. It's not close. Say it with your chest, Max. And I know Max always says stuff with his chest, but come on, man. Come on with it, Max. It ain't close. You ain't gotta butter his ass up. Nah, give it to him the real way it's supposed to be given. Like, it's not close. It's just not close. I've said this on numerous occasions, and I'm going to reiterate what I said. Michael Jordan is the only NBA player that the more I have researched this guy, the freakier his accomplishments are. You find out freaky stuff, like he did that and that and that in the same, like he's the only one. The deeper you go in the rabbit hole, it just gets more mind blowing. Number one. Number two, he's the only NBA player that I've seen play basketball, and you're looking at this guy and you're like, okay, this is not normal. His movements, the way he jumps, it's not normal. And there's been no other basketball player that I have ever seen with my own two eyes that gave me that same feeling. The only person I watched where I was in absolute awe, and I used to say to myself, how is this guy this good, was Kobe Bryant. I used to watch Kobe because I didn't watch MJ play live. I saw some of his Wizards games, but I'm old enough to watch. And I used to watch Kobe and say, how is this guy this good? How is he this good? Like, it's like mind-blowing. MJ is something else. It's something else. We're now talking about the eye test. You know, the first way you evaluate players based off of what it's not. No. So this thing of the trophy 7 feet tall and the trophy has 12 legs and this and that. No, there's no. It ain't. It's not 1 inch of separation between them. Using whatever example that they were trying. No, it's not. It's not that. Michael Jordan is on a totally different level. Period. End of story. But I gotta hand it to Max for saying this to Rich Paul's face. Had it been somebody else, Steve Nash, he would have probably just went up there and twerked it up all over the table. Max Kellerman is not doing that. And I think by him doing so is giving the show more credibility. That's a good show where one person has a genuine point of view, the other person has their own point of view, and they're disagreeing. And you're not just up there agreeing to everything that guy said. That's a good show. And so therefore, I think these guys have a good show because Max is pushing back and he's giving his own opinions, which I think makes it good. So I think this show is better than Mind the Game, for sure. It's not even close. I believe it was yesterday where we did a show, excuse me, where we were reacting to the news that Dalton Knecht, right, the former first round pick, was being sent to the G League, right? And we did this show, and I was saying to myself, how in the hell is Dalton Knecht going to the G League, but meanwhile, Bronny James is staying on the Laker bench? Like, how was this even possible? And this is something that we discussed during that live, and a lot of people kind of weighed in on what we had to say. So to my surprise, apparently this was something that was being discussed on the Club 520 podcast with Jeff Teague in him. Now, Jeff Teague has gotten himself in some sticky situations when it comes to LeBron James, anything related to him, because he had basically went out there and said that LeBron James was on steroids and all of this stuff, and it turned into this big brouhaha where he had to retract his statements and say he was just joking, where the day before he said he wasn't joking, and he said he got a call from it just became a very weird thing, and it seems like the whole LeBron thing became a sour spot for Jeff Teague. So on their show, Jeff Teague and his other colleagues, I think one of them he's related to, I don't know if it's his brother or not, they kind of look similar, I don't know. So they were just kind of shooting the breeze. And then out of nowhere, Jeff Teague asked the question that a lot of us were sitting there asking, which was, how the hell is Dalton Knecht being sent to the G League? Meanwhile, Bronny James is still a member of the team. And I'm like, well, Jeff, you're asking a pertinent question that a lot of us have been asking as well. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to play what Jeff Teague had to say here. I want you guys to listen to his comments, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Jeff Teague had to say there.
I have a real question. This is no hate. This is real shit. Why he in the G?
At
And
all.
Bronny not in the G.
Whoa, hold on now. Too much dip in your shit. Hold on now.
What we doing?
What we doing, gang?
Hold on now.
I don't know. Use it if you. I wouldn't. Tell us about it.
Ice on tea. Tell us more.
What we doing, gang?
Oh, man. You know why, bro.
And
DJ said, "Whoa."
he said what?
No, hold on, Mal. Come on, tell us.
Hey, why
What you say, Mal?
Malcolm Wilder today.
Malcolm whispering. Say that.
Shout out Pooh Shiesty.
That's what I'm about to say. Tell us, Pooh Shiesty.
Nah, it ain't no hate. Y'all gotta hear what I'm saying though. Like, I don't care that he playing in the G League. I'm saying he was a first round pick.
Yeah.
Facts.
And now if he wanted to go to the G League because he want to get some reps, that's different.
That's different.
Like if he requested to go to the G League, we don't know. But I'm just saying, like, he a first round pick. If you don't like him, like, can y'all please move on from him?
Yeah.
Like, give that man a chance.
That's
Like,
true.
They tried though to their defense.
They did try to move him, and obviously Mark Williams, he got moved to a different group, a team or whatever. But saying like, y'all put him in the G. If they requested him to go to the G and he didn't, I'm like, man, y'all should send everybody who ain't playing. Like,
Yeah.
he was a first round pick.
They really are
that's
messing
true.
up the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
Like, not being funny.
That's true.
Like, I was a first round pick, bro, and now I'm a G leaguer.
Yeah. Somebody let me hoop, bro, but the Lakers ain't nothing right now.
Nah, and it ain't no disrespect to Bronny, but it's like I was the first round pick.
Yeah,
Like,
it's tears.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say on this podcast. Now, this sound that we just lifted and played for you guys was actually posted on Twitter, and this video generated 1.1 million views. So it's, a lot of people watched it, and few people chimed in. Right, one person said it's called nepotism, Jeff. Another guy said because his father calls the shots. Another guy says telling the truth isn't hate. Tired of everything being classified as hate. Got this ninja scared to ask honest questions. Bigger point, Bronny screwing up. Bronny freaking sucks. Why does he have a guaranteed contract, guaranteed deal? While so many other players have to fight and claw for their spot into the fraternity. Another guy said real rap. Let's talk. And then more people chimed in and said because it's his dad. Whatever. So you heard what a lot of people had to say in reaction to Jeff Teague's comments. I think most of these guys hit the nail on the head. All right. Look. Bronny shouldn't be on the Lakers roster. And if you bring this up, people say you're singling him out. Well, why is he on the team? Why is it whenever Bronny has a layup or a dunk, it's all over SportsCenter? And come on, like, knock it off. Y'all just want it to be positive coverage of him, even if he goes up there and just doesn't play well. All right. Bronny James in the G League is averaging 9 points per game on 35% shooting, 21% shooting from the three, 71% shooting from the free throw line. His numbers are pretty much identical to last year, although his scoring per game has dropped. Dalton Knecht, from what I can ascertain, has only played one game in the G League. In that one game, he scored 30 points on 58.8% shooting from the field, 60% shooting from three, 100% from the free throw line. Well, I got you five. Look. Bronny shouldn't even be on the roster. And I don't even know what it is the Lakers think they're doing in terms of the development of Dalton Knecht. We all know that they tried to trade him away for, I think, the center that played for the Charlotte Hornets. That didn't work out. Ended up being a total debacle. Obviously, he doesn't fit on the roster. But Bronny being there, it's just because his dad wants him there, right? Had it been another person, he wouldn't be on the roster. He wouldn't be on the roster. This is the fact. So Jeff Teague is asking a question that most people are afraid to ask, or most people have already come to the conclusion that they're not going to ask. People like Stephen A. Smith. Remember, Stephen A. Smith publicly came out there and admitted, I'm not going to cover Bronny. I'm not going to say a negative word about him. I'm just going to give him a pass. I'm not going to do my job. I'm going to do my job for everybody else, but I'm not going to do it for his. Forgetting the fact that all of these other NBA players, don't they all have parents? Don't they all have parents? If you say a negative thing about their kids, won't they all feel a type of way? So why are you picking and choosing? And the craziest part is Stephen A. Smith has the courage to call out great players, but not players that are bad. He used to go at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's moms used to get at him. So if you have the courage to go at good players, why can't you go at bad players? Because I want to make an exception. I bring up the Kwame Brown thing all the time. Stephen A. Smith wouldn't dare say half the things he said about Kwame Brown about Bronny James, although they would be appropriate. Why? Because he respects power. If Kwame Brown's father was Michael Jordan, do you think Stephen A. Smith would have been saying what he said? Of course he wouldn't have. But because his father is not Michael Jordan or some other, maybe Magic Johnson or whoever, he was free game. But Bronny is off limits because his dad is LeBron. So basically, because LeBron is an elite, I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm not going to say anything about it. That's essentially what's going on here. So the whole Bronny thing, bro, nobody knows what the hell is going on, man. If you're a Laker fan and you're talking about Bronny should be on the team, you're not a serious person. You're not a serious person, and you're not a person that should be taken seriously on any level. It's just one big show, right? It's just one big show. Jeff Teague asked an important question. The question is, will any of his other colleagues within the space ask the same question? No, they won't. I've been one of the voices out here, right? And I'm not a big voice or anything like that because our content is predominantly based in sports, but there are larger issues that are happening in the world. And I said, look, I'm going to talk about them, right? And on the occasions that I have spoken about it, I have said with my chest that I believe that there are a lot of political grifters out here. I believe that there are people out here trying to make $1 at any opportunity that they can. If they means they got to sell their asses on the way to do it, they'll do it. They'll do it. Now, if it just so happens that you're making content and you're doing very well in the political space and you're saying what you believe, then by all means, make your money and do your thing. You deserve it. But if you're out here grifting and looking for a come up and trying to ride a wave, your ass gonna get called out by me. Black or white. The last thing society needs at this point in time are grifters. These people are the worst. Because they don't have any allegiance. The only allegiance they have is to the almighty dollar. And we don't need these people in society propagating their insane views to people, getting people riled up, and then benefiting off of them monetarily. We don't need these people. This is just my take on it. And there are times when I've called out people by names, and I mean it. It is what it is, right? But one of the people that I've been calling out is Stephen A. Smith. Why? Because if you listen to any of Stephen A. Smith's political commentary over the last 10 years, you will know that Stephen A. Smith is a liberal. The only conservative thing one could say, oh, that's a concern, is that he's a capitalist. But there are a lot of liberals that they like to make a lot of money. So I wouldn't chalk that up as being a capitalist or I want to make my money. No. There are a lot of liberals that make a lot of money, that want to make money, right? But predominantly, if you listen to this guy talk, he has a lot of liberal views. When he goes on ESPN, he's talking about the black man is going through this, the black man is going through that, that's always been Stephen A. Smith. So when he decided that he was going to jump into the political arena, a lot of us were gobsmacked when we were hearing some of the things that he was saying. Because for a guy that voted for Kamala Harris, which he did, he spent the entire year trashing Kamala, trashing the Democrats. We're like, what's going on here? You voted for the Democrats. Now, all of a sudden, when they lose, you're talking about you regret your vote. What made you regret your vote? The article was published that we just read. It's a Fox News, It's a Fox News article that we just read. The article was published on January 25th. The election, I believe, was the end of 2024. So in a span of 2 months, all of a sudden you feel like a fool for voting for Kamala? What do you mean you feel like a fool? Here it is. ESPN Stephen A. Smith says he feels like a fool for voting for Kamala Harris. I want to read his comments. Kamala Harris didn't resonate during the primaries in 2020. Couldn't even get Iowa. Suddenly is a Democratic nominee. Then you roll up in the convention in Chicago and everybody's like, she's a rock star. So it's like, how did that happen? Smith said. He then continues on. Yes, I voted for her and a lot of people voted for her. But in the end, we end up feeling like damn fools because we supported it. We fell for the okie doke, as they say. If you had a primary, the likelihood is she would not have been the Democratic nominee. So why'd you vote for her? You figured out that you regret your vote because she lost, or you regret your vote because she wasn't qualified. So you had that going on. The grift was going on all year long. A lot of creators were making millions and millions and millions of dollars. Some of them making millions of dollars a month. And the train was choo-choo-choo-choo-chooing. And they were laughing their way to the bank every single month, week, however you want to, how many times they go withdraw funds. Right? All of that was going on. Then you had the Jasmine Crockett situation there, where Stephen A. Smith made himself to look like what? An ass! Because he was chastising Jasmine Crockett for the way that she comports herself, the way that she speaks, how, basically saying she was too ghetto. That's essentially what he was saying. Why are you speaking like this? Why are you speaking like that? This kind of political language is not necessary, so inflammatory. Meanwhile, voices like Marjorie Taylor was out there, Laura Loomer was out there. He didn't say a damn thing. Forget about those people. What about the president himself and some of the inflammatory things that he wouldn't say a mumbling word. And what happened? The Jasmine Crockett thing got the entire machine to turn on his ass. And people came for Stephen A. Smith in droves, as they should have. To the point where he capitulated, changed his opinion. Then what happens? President Donald Trump goes out there and makes the comments about Rob Reiner. And it set the world ablaze. Everyone with a voice that heard it was commenting on it globally. Global news stations, publications, everyone was weighing in. The president's supporters were calling him out for it, asking him to retract the statements. Then he was questioned about it in the White House. What did he do? He doubled down, right? Stephen A. Smith then sees this as a political avenue to say, oh, wait a minute. The wind is blowing in a different direction. Now let me start grifting back towards liberals to see if I can win back some liberal support. Then all of a sudden he starts going at the president. Then yesterday he's talking about the president and the FBI and Pam Bondi and these guys are going to be most likely redacting names from the Jeffrey Epstein files. Then you get the other news that FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino is saying that he's going to step down next month. I want to quickly read from what this report had to say. This is from, I believe, Sky News. It says, Dan Bongino, controversial FBI director, to resign next month. Continues on. The FBI director, formerly a controversial podcast host who spread conspiracy theories, he has said he will resign in the new year. Dan Bongino was appointed by Donald Trump to be the second in command of the federal intelligence body in February, serving under Director Kash Patel, whose ass also may be on the outs, who they may be firing as well. Continues on. Announcing his resignation on Wednesday, the 51-year-old said he was grateful for the opportunity to serve with purpose. While he did not say when in January he would leave or what he would do next, Mr. Trump said earlier in the day, Dan did a great job. I think he wants to go back to his show. In a social media post, Mr. Patel called Mr. Bongino the best partner I could have asked for in helping restore the FBI. He not only completed his mission, he far exceeded it, the FBI director added. Now, pause. Why do you think this is happening? Kash Patel has been labeled incompetent for the job that he's doing. Then we also have the Jeffrey Epstein situation there, right? Where Dan Bongino basically was one of the people that said, oh, we're going to get the names released, we're going to get the name. And then when he got into the system and figured out, oh, wait a minute, these guys don't look like they want to release it. All of a sudden, he's like, oh, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. And people are jumping ship. is essentially what you're witnessing right here. It then continues on. Mr. Bongino worked for the New York Police Department for several years in the 1990s before joining the Secret Service as an agent, serving on the presidential details for the then President Barack Obama and George Bush. And then it goes on to say that. Then you juxtapose that news with the November job report. I want to read that quickly. This is from CNBC. It says, payrolls rose by 64,000 in November after falling by 105,000 in October. Delayed jobs numbers show. It then continues on. A job growth totaled a seasonal adjustment of 64,000 for the month, better than the Dow Jones estimated of 45,000 and up from a sharp decline in October. The unemployment rate rose to 4.6, more than expected at its highest level since September 2021, and a more encompassing measure that includes discouraged workers and those holding part-time jobs for economic reasons swelled to 8.7%. Its peak going back to August 2021. In addition to the November report, the BLS released an abbreviated October count that showed payrolls down 105,000. While there was no official estimate, Wall Street economists were largely expecting a decline following a surprise increase of 108,000 in September. So the net gain was 45,000 in the last 2 months. You're looking at the job report. You're looking at the president's approval rating. Stephen A. Smith is 100% cognizant of all of these various factors and is saying to himself, yeah, I think the grift it's time to whip out that grift again. But here's why it's not going to work. As somebody that has spent all of 2025 studying this field like a student, I'm talking about moi. I studied this thing before I decided to start talking politics. And what I discovered is this. Playing defense ain't gonna work. People are not interested in that. They're not. There are two dominant parties in the United States. What are those parties? The Democratic Party and the Republican Party, right? These are the ones that are always going to win. Presidents are always going to come from these specific parties, right? So if you're a guy or girl in the middle talking about, well, I'm above the fray. I'm above it all. I agree with them. I agree with them. That's not going to work. People want to know where you stand on the hard issues. This flip-flopping and dipping your toe over there, oh, that's too warm. Oh, let me dip it. Oh, it's too cold. That's not going to work. It's not going to work. What you're going to need to do is take a firm position and stand by it and be willing to deal with all of the arrows that are going to be flying in your direction. That's how it's going to work. So this thing of grifting, what ends up happening is you triangulate yourself into a position of just total irrelevance where people say, this guy, you can't take him seriously. And that's what's happening. Because now when you go to his channel, you see some of the commentary of him pushing at Trump. After you spent the last 11 months building that audience, a conservative audience, they're calling him woke. They're Stephen A. Smith for this and doing that. And then the liberals are now jumping on, good job, Stephen A. Smith. And some of them are falling for it. Don't fall for it. What did I tell you guys 2 months ago? I said this. I said, if it turns out that it looks like the Democrats are going to blow out the Republicans in the midterms, you're already seeing Democrats win with some shocking wins in some special elections. You saw Zoran, where the entire machine was working against him. They tried to say this guy is a terrorist. They tried to say he's this, he's that. And New Yorkers still voted for him with over 50% of the vote. They still voted for him. You see all of these things happening. And I said, what? I said, if you begin to see the sentiment tilt towards the Democrats, Stephen A. Smith going to tilt over there and say, well, you know what? I've been an independent, but it ain't going to work. You can't spend an entire calendar year trashing the Democrats, but then call yourself an independent. It doesn't work like that. An independent doesn't spend the majority of their time attacking one side. That's not an independent. It's almost like if you're parents and you have two kids, but you're always chastising one of them. No, you're biased. Sorry to break it to you. You're biased. You're biased. And people are beginning to point out the grift. And that's exactly what is happening here. And shout out to Too Raw for TV because he pointed this out, which inspired me to talk about this. But it's the truth. It's the truth. You're looking at the approval numbers. Now, obviously, we just got some good news, and I want to give some credit to the president. Inflation actually went down a little bit more than it was anticipated. So you want to give him credit for that. But overall, the sentiment is shifting. It's shifting. And the Republicans are figuring this out. That's why a lot of them are trying to divorce themselves from the president and his ideology. Why? Because after 2028, they're still going to be here. The president can't run again after 2028. So you being loyal to him is not going to serve you in the future. Number one. Number two, if you look at how things are trending headed into the midterms, it's going to be a bloodbath. And you better pray the Democrats don't get a majority in the House and the Senate. It's going to be a wrap, because then what will happen is then they will try to start repealing some of the laws that the president put in place. If they have a majority, they can do that. They can do that. So this is serious business. This is very serious business. And Stephen A. Smith is looking at what direction is the wind blowing so I can set my sail. And I'm saying we calling out all the grifters. Stay your asses over there. Make all the money that you're going to make. And there are a lot of them. And I don't care who feel a kind of way about what I'm saying. I'm giving y'all my truth. And I want to give a big shout out. A big shout out to my pops. Because prior going into this talk about politics, I had a lot of reservations about it. And the number one reservation I had, which was I didn't feel like I was any good. To be 100% sincere with you, I didn't feel I was any good. I didn't feel like I was informed enough. So my dad he asked me all the time, "How's your political show going? How's your political show going?" I'm like, "Yeah, but Dad, I don't know, man. I don't feel like I don't know enough." And he would always tell me, "Just be yourself and say what you believe. Just be yourself and say what you believe." So, Dad, I got to give you the props. I got to give you a props in front of all of these people, because you gave me the confidence to just go out there and give it a shot. Now, obviously, some people are not going to like it, which is fine. But at least you know where I stand, and I think people will respect that. You may not like what I'm saying, but you're not going to be under any illusion that I don't know where Charles stands on issues. And I'm fine with that. It's better you know where I stand than to be wondering, where does this guy really stand on issues? And unfortunately, this is where this guy finds himself in. And for what? I don't know. You're getting paid all this damn money. Just say what you believe, bro. What's going to happen? Nothing. I gotta say, I'm enjoying the hell out of doing these shows, these politics shows. Do you know why? Because I am being my authentic self. I am so happy that I didn't choose to enter the political commentary world as a grifter. It's so liberating. It's just so liberating, and I just want to share that with you. I just feel so good to just say what you believe, and you're not up here, just trying to blow hot smoke up people's what to make some damn money. It just feels fantastic. I just wanted to share that with you guys. But anyway, let's get to the quick here. As you guys know, Stephen A. Smith decided that he was going to have his foray into the world of politics about a year or so ago, right? Prior to the election, as a matter of fact, I want to do this quickly because some people have asked me this, and I think is important that I put this conversation to bed once and for all. Prior to the elections, Stephen A. Smith was campaigning, or advocating rather, for Kamala Harris. There's even sound, because some people that are subscribed to Stephen A. Smith feel like, oh, Stephen A. Smith has always been a Trump supporter. I'm like, no, he hasn't. He hasn't. He was advocating for Kamala Harris. And he even went on Sean Hannity, arguing with Sean for why he felt Kamala was a more qualified candidate to be president than Donald Trump. For those of you who never heard this, because apparently a lot of people haven't heard this, I want to quickly refresh your memory and play it for you now, and then we'll continue on with the show. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
All right, so let's stay on Kamala Harris for a second here. Democrats are in a state of panic. Although momentum seems to be going to Donald Trump. I told you this would happen in a private conversation we had. You were skeptical. I think I was proven right. You know sports better than I do. I think I know politics. I know.
You do.
But here's my question for you. You did call her out early, and you said she's making a mistake not doing interviews. Now, she does these interviews, and I argue to you that the reason she's struggling and she's like tied up in a pretzel because she can't express what she has stated publicly, that she wants the Green New Deal, the elimination of the filibuster. She can't say she wants to eliminate private health insurance, as she has said in the past. She's not going to run on what she has stated in the past to decriminalize illegal immigration, free food, housing, health care, education, sex change operations, and a path to citizenship, or banning fracking, banning offshore drilling. So she has to, give us word salads, because she won't tell us how she really feels. She's hiding her true beliefs.
Well,
Donald Trump doesn't do that.
Well, first of all, that's a very long question. Let's get to it. Number one, you talk about what she's doing. Bottom line is this: as Vice President of the United States, it wasn't her job to lead. She has to go along with the program. You are a support base. You support the person that is in charge, who happened to be Joe Biden. That's number one. Number two, I know you're not talking about somebody being lucid and cogent and enunciating their thoughts with clarity, and you're bragging about Donald Trump. We can't be watching the same stuff if that's what you're doing. You ain't gonna do that today.
You know
now,
what?
Lindsey Graham, hold it. Now, Senator Lindsey Graham is about to come on this show.
Let me tell you something.
That man can articulate himself very well. Not Donald Trump now.
I have sat with him for hour after hour after hour, topic after topic after topic, and he is so dialed in. Really? Look, it's funny. People try. This is like the latest argument. Meanwhile, your friends in the Democratic Party, they ignored the obvious, significant, deep cognitive decline of the president for over 4 years. I said it before the 2020 election. Kamala, to this day, say, Joe was really cognitively alert. You know that's a crock. I know that's a crock.
What is she supposed to say, Sean?
Knows it's a crock. Not Donald Trump.
Sean, what is it? Hold on. What is she supposed to say? She's supposed to sit up there and say, you know what, my president, my boss.
Truth.
I mean, there was cognitive decline there. No, you're not. No, you don't do that.
Show?
You don't dime out your boss. You don't. Listen, I do tell the truth on my show, but guess what? So I said I do. What I said, however, is that I'm not going to dime out my boss if that's my boss. Go ahead.
Whoa, hang on a second. You know what? I have never watched you hold back. You say what you mean. You mean what you say. That's my point. She is. But she knew he was a cognitive mess, and now she's lying. Oh no, I never noticed it. It's a crock.
Sean,
it's a lie.
Because Sean, what you're trying to
it's a lie.
Listen, I personally, a year earlier, I was saying there's slippage, there's something that ain't there. He ain't going to make it to the election. Y'all better get with the program, do something about it. I was on the record about Joe Biden, but I'm not a part of the Biden administration. And if I was a part of the Biden administration, I wouldn't have told you that. That's number one. Number two, she's the candidate now. You got to run against her. Are you going to beat her, Sean? Are you going to beat her? Are you going to beat her?
It's straight up. It's straight up. The American people.
Are you as confident as you were months ago?
The biggest choice election in a lifetime.
I see some slippage on his part.
Stephen A.
Now, some people have said he didn't vote for Kamala Harris. Let's put this to bed as well. This is an article from Fox News that was published on January 25th, 2025. Written by Jackson Thomas. And the headline says, ESPN Stephen A. Smith says he feels like a fool for voting for Kamala Harris. Let me read some comments. Kamala Harris, who didn't resonate during the primaries in 2020, couldn't even get Iowa. Suddenly, the Democratic nominee, then you roll up to the convention in Chicago and everybody is like, she's a rock star. So it's like, how did that happen? Smith said. Yes, I voted for her. A lot of people voted for her in the end. But in the end, we end up feeling like damn fools because we supported it. We fell for the okie dokie or whatever, as they say. If you had a primary, the likelihood is she would not have been the Democratic nominee. What okie doke did Stephen A. Smith fall for? What's the okie doke? But I digress. Let's continue on with the show. So throughout this period, Stephen A. Smith has been a staunch supporter of Donald Trump. He has cultivated a conservative audience because he was grifting, as I've been saying. So then something interesting happened. We begin to witness a fracture within the MAGA alliance. And it happened over an unsavory person by the name of Jeffrey Epstein, where we were now beginning to see some noise build up over the fact that this administration was going to release the Epstein files. And Pam Bondi herself said the files were on her desk. Stephen A. Smith then goes on the Chris Cuomo show on News Nation and basically starts calling out people who want the Epstein files to be released, and basically said that these people have nothing else better to do with their lives. For those of you who never heard that sound, we want to play it for you now because it's going to draw some context, show a contrast rather, to what he had to say yesterday. Take a listen to this guy here.
Fair enough, but when we go to the Epstein, the quote-unquote Epstein file, I'm going to tell you what jumps out in my mind, because I'm with you in this regard. We can't rule it out, but we can't definitively say it existed either, because we don't know. And because we don't know, it's irresponsible to say there must be a list, there must be a list. You can say what you believe, you can say what you're suspicious of, but you can't sit up there and speak in definitive terms when you don't have that level of evidence. That's number two. Number three, here's the big thing for me. The far right is actually, they don't realize this. They're making Trump look better and better every day. Think about this. We've got the war with Ukraine and Russia. We've got the whole Israeli-Palestinian situation, Hamas, Hezbollah, even though that's been relatively crushed and what have you. We see all of this stuff going on. You got tariff wars. You've got, purportedly the imminent presence of inflation and all of this stuff, or recession. Everybody talks about these things, okay? You see what's going on with ICE. You see what's going on with our border issues and what have you. And Trump, no matter what you may think about him, if you are on the right, you could not ask for better than what he has done, because what he has done is what they have said they wanted and have been trying to get done for years. And even they admit that he's doing their bidding, yet they're in an uproar because the Department of Justice said there's no client list and the Epstein files case is closed. Really? I mean, I'm wondering I got to talk to Steve Bannon. I got to talk to him. I got to talk to some of these people, the Tucker Carlsons of the world and everybody going crazy over the Epstein client list. Mm-hmm. That's what you're concerned about?
Fantastic. So you heard his comments. So what happened? Yesterday, they dropped the show on his channel, The Straight Shooter. And the title of the show says, "What is Donald Trump doing? My thoughts on his recent actions." Stephen A. Smith then goes on to start going at the president for those grotesque, disgusting, vile comments that he made about Rob Reiner and the passing of him and his wife, that everyone came for him, including his own base. Stephen A. Smith, as he's chastising the president, he then decides to take it a step further and publicly accuses him and the FBI of redacting names on the Epstein files that I believe are set to be released in about 2 weeks. Yes, the guy's now going after Trump. For those of you who never heard this, take a listen to him here.
And what we see on Capitol Hill is a bunch of nonsense that's been going on. And I'll get into all of that in a second. But if I'm going to bring up the word nonsense, the first order of business is to start off with the president, who I will openly admit has pissed me off. And the reason he's pissed me off is because he's made life difficult for people like myself who are inclined and downright anxious to talk about the issues and say yay or nay to it. How do you feel about his performance on the economy? How do you feel about inflation in this day and age and what it's looking like right now? Is there an impending recession, or are we already in one? What about immigration? What about border security? What about the use of ICE in order to sort of support his goal? What about safety in the streets of America? What about the jobless rate? What about unemployment reaching about 4.6%, which is the highest it's been since 2021? What about this money that was supposed to be coming into this country, courtesy of all of these pledges you received, and whether or not that was going to come to fruition, generating in excess of trillions of dollars, which was going to help fuel the economy while also dissipating that $38.4 trillion debt that we're supposed to be trying to trim down? What about those things?
Those are issues. Wouldn't you say those are issues worth talking about? I'd say those are issues that are worth talking about. But we don't get to talk about that. Why? Because they had the Epstein files that obviously were relevant in people's eyes to some degree, so much so that some members of MAGA turned against Trump with that. Originally, his attitude after campaigning on it, by the way, after campaigning on releasing that stuff, you know what it was going to be about? Hey, it's no big deal. What's the big deal? It's really not a problem. Why are you guys so fixated on this? Until MAGA folks got involved and said, wait a damn minute. You did campaign on this. This issue is important to us. We want those files open. And then after much and much and much resistance, all of a sudden we learned, after our votes on Capitol Hill, that eventually it will be released this month. Not immediately. We'll take a look. We'll see. We'll grab hold of it. We'll see what we want to redact or whatever. And then we'll sit up there and we'll put it out there for you to see. I can't wait to see how much stuff is blacked off. But that's a different subject to another day.
So you heard what the guy had to say. What are my thoughts about this? Do you know what kills me about Stephen A. Smith? A lot of what he's saying is what people have been saying. A lot of what he's saying here is exactly what people have been saying for God knows how long. Where are you all of a sudden getting this epiphany from? You're having this eureka moment based off of what? Is it because of the comments that he made about Rob Reiner that all of a sudden caused you to realize that, oh, wait a minute. Him and Pam Bondi are going to be trying to retract names. So a light bulb didn't go off in your head when Pam Bondi said there are no files after she came out and said there are files. Nothing piqued your interest at that point. What about the fact that the president ran on releasing the Epstein files, but then did everything in his power to make sure that they weren't released? That nothing. It took him making those comments about Rob Reiner for you to now come out and say they're going to be redacting names from the files. Are you even joking? I told y'all Stephen A. Smith is a grifter, man. And he's trying to grift his way back to the left. That's what I believe is happening here. If anybody should be calling out Trump, it ain't him. It ain't him. Because he spent the last 11 months twerking it up for the president all year long. He spent the last 11 months saying how confused and rudderless the Democratic Party is. But now it's convenient to call out the president. No, we don't want to hear from these people. We don't want to hear from you guys. We don't want to hear from the people that all of a sudden are having a come to Jesus moment and realizing, oh my God, the president isn't a good person. No. Stay your ass over there. Stay your ass over there and keep deceiving the people that you were deceiving for dollars and cents. They know who they are. There are plenty of them in the world of media. There are plenty of them that are making buku money doing it. So keep doing it. Keep your ass over there. If you're not out here saying what you truly believe, keep your ass over there. Don't nobody want to hear from you. Don't nobody want to hear from you because most people are seeing through this nonsense. Now you're accusing the president of redacting names. What evidence do you have of that? But then spent the entire year talking about how Democrats are out on a witch hunt for the president and trying to pin every single thing on him. What about when you went on The View and was trying to reprimand Senator Mark Kelly for telling troops and service members to not follow illegal orders? What happened then? I mean, the guy's everywhere and nowhere at the same time.